All right, goalkeepers. Drake Callender from Inter Miami, 25-year-old. He found out from the Inter Miami Youth Academy that he got called in. That was a pretty cool video. I highly encourage you to go check it out. Very heartwarming. Obviously, no caps for the national team. Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati still doesn't have any caps either. Sean Johnson from Toronto FC, formerly of NYCFC, has 11 caps. I expect him to start. Do you agree with me there?
Yeah, and it's just so funny to me just because Sean Johnson has been in the national team pool since like nearly when I started in the national team, right? But it just goes to show you how screwed goalkeepers get that he's been in this pool for literally over a decade and he's got 11 caps because there's just not a lot of like room if you're the three.
He's the Nick
Raimondo
of this group.
and he was the
Marcus
the thing is like and like it's amazing what he's done, right? To be able to stay continuing to kind of linger on, because if you look, there was like Bill Hamid throughout the years, Brad Guzan, there was all these people, and he continued to sort of knock on that door. But yeah, he should get the start in this one for sure. But really cool for guys to get their first call ups. You know, that could be really transformative for confidence, and hopefully whether they play or not, a few of them you'll see go like from like, oh yeah, I've got my first call up, to being like, oh yeah, I believe in myself on a whole nother level, because you know it is a game of margins in terms of confidence that can make all the difference.
I'm glad you brought that up. I think we've shared stories before about that first call up, and whether you play or not, when you walk back into your club team, you're walking different. Your chest is out, your shoulders are back, and in some ways you get validated for all the hard work and sacrifice that they notice that you're good enough to be a part of that pool. And it does change you, and it hopefully in a positive way, not for everybody. But I remember, and I'll share a quick story about this. I wasn't in the national team pool for a very long time. We can go into my late bloomer stuff later, but I remember being on San Jose. This is 2001. So right before, Jeff Agus is on our team.
Yep.
And when he would come back from camp, even though he had already had plenty of experience, you could just see him walk back into the fold, walk back into the group with just a little, it's not arrogance. It's just this confidence that you can't replicate any other way. So I remember I used to warm up with Wade Barrett. Okay. And I'm like, Wade, I wonder what that's like. Honestly, conversation, wonder what that's like. So I just said, I'm going to pretend that I played for the national team this week and see how I play. And it worked. Like for 2 days, I was like doing cheeky back heels and possession and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And having fun, right? Because I knew, hey, I was good enough to be out here. I'm good enough to be a good player. And then, of course, I made a mistake or two, and then my head went down. Then my head went down a little bit further, and then you realize I'm not good enough for the national team right now. But that psychology of that is really important. So to your point, I just think there is something to that little boost that you get for even if you get called up that does make a difference. All right, let's get into defenders. You got Sergino Dest, who we mentioned, Aaron Long back in, Julian Gressel, Matt Miazga, who's had a long stay away from the team, Shaq Moore, Caleb Wiley, Josh Winder, the 17-year-old who'll be making his move to Benfica here pretty soon, DeAndre Yedlin, and Walker Zimmerman. I want to see Josh Winder play. I want to see him. I want to see him play for the red, white, and blue. I know he'll probably play for our U20s in the World Cup, U20 World Cup. But I think it's going to be Dest. My guess here, Heath, and I'll go first. Dest, Zimmerman, Winder, and I don't know who we have as left back. I guess Shaq Moore could play there. We could put Caleb Wiley out there. Maybe that's too much youth on the back line, but I don't care at this point. Play the goddamn kids, especially in the back line. Let's just see what they got. Let's just see. We did it with Jalen Neal in the January camp. He held his own. Why not against a pretty good Mexico team that's going to test us a little bit?
We do love right backs. I got to say that this national team, we've got a thing for depth at right back.
Remember when it was just only Steve Cherundolo was like our only right back for 8 years?
Yeah.
And Frankie Haydick and Steve Cherundolo own the right back position for a lot of years. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
It's crazy. And now we've got like 7 of them that get called into every camp, and there's only one position for them. I would agree with that. I would say maybe just thinking like practically about this, maybe you actually go with Sergino Dest on the left, and you have the opportunity at that point to go with oh man, I want to get Caleb Wiley on the field though.
I do too.
Caleb Wiley. Yeah.
Let's play him.
Yeah.
Why not? All right, let's move into midfielders. We have Kellen Acosta, Aiden Morris, Christian Roldan, James Sands. Welcome back, James Sands, Alan Senora, and Jackson Ewell, who's actually got 16 caps. He's catching us. Heath, I don't know if I want Jackson Ewell. We got all these guys that are getting close to the numbers that we had in terms of caps. But
Jimmy, be honest. When you look at these rollouts and they put the caps next to it, you compare your caps every single time,
always,
right?
always. But I have a goal, and a lot of these players don't have a goal, so I'll take it.
It's always there's levels, dude. There's levels.
There's levels.
Yeah.
Plus, I got a World Cup to my name. I'll take that.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because you could play a double pivot and have Acosta and Aiden Morris if we go with the 4-3-3, which I assume we will.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of got a lot of holding midfielders. I know Senora can be our 10, so maybe that's why you brought him in and talked him into coming. Not that I don't think it would have been hard to bring him in, but maybe Acosta, Aiden Morris, and Senora. I don't know. Or you could have Roldan play a little bit higher. I don't know. That's a tricky one in midfield because it feels like we got a lot of similar players there. What are you thinking?
It's a good question. By the way, I'm locking in on Caleb Wiley's been fantastic this year as a left back, so I'm saying play him as a starter. It's a big jump.
Thank you for waiting 5 minutes to finally agree with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a big jump, but like he's been and on the ball he's nice.
Sink or swim, dude. Sink or swim.
Yeah, I like it. And there's always time in the future to prove yourself again if you don't this time if you're playing that well at the club level and you're that young. Man, honestly.
You could drop Jesus Ferreira, though. You could, once we look at the forwards, you could drop Ferreira in the 10 spot. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. I don't see us like rolling out a different style of play for this one. I mean, when you look at it, there could be an argument to play with a back three, but I just don't see how that makes sense, given the context that these players have not spent a lot of time together. But I would say I like Aiden Morris at the 6. Kellen Acosta, I think, is a good two-way player around him. And then you're really talking about maybe you go with James Sands James Sands has been really good at just blocking passing lanes all year. Like NYC AFC had some crazy stats about penetrating passes. We're at the lowest when he's on the field and in the midfield, not playing as a center back in a bind. But I really want to reward Aiden Morris for like his numbers outrageous. And so I'd say him next to Kellen Acosta, just so you have some consistency there and some experience. And then
now that I look at the forwards, and we got I'll just name them so you have those as options, Heath. We got Paul Arriola, Cade Cal, Jesus Ferreira, Jordan Morris, Brandon Vasquez.
Yeah.
So I would honestly at this point drop Ferreira into the 10 spot and then put Vasquez up high. Vasquez up high, and then
Jordan Morris on one side.
JMO on one side and
JMO on the left, and then Cade Cowell. I mean, Cade Cowell's the next JMO, so I don't think you'd play both of them at the moment. But Cade Cowell's he's exactly at that age and development where you could get him 30. Ariola's on the right hand side. But I don't see a world. Look, Jordan Morris obviously has been best as a striker recently.
He's on fire too.
But generally speaking, he can play on the left. So maybe you go with him at the 9 and Brandon Vasquez after. But I think like using Jordan Morris in that context isn't something that we need to see for the future, right? Because there's just there's too many people there. It doesn't make any sense to say let's use crucial minutes. So I say Brandon Vasquez there.
Yeah, his best way forward is the 9, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But on the left-hand side, you just got to choose Jordan Morris or Cade Cowell, and then on the right, you're kind of really only left with Arriola, and that's it.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I do want to see Cade Cowell get some meaningful minutes, though, and I think
Christian Roldan. Christian Roldan's played on the right-hand side too.
There.
Like
That's
he can play there. A little more advanced. So
all right. So that was our initial kind of breakdown of the roster. Pretty excited to see some of these names. I want to see some of these kids play and partner with some of our older players and see how they fit in. I think that'll be very exciting. But we'll have a proper preview ahead of this game as it gets closer. We're 6 days away from kickoff. Again, that'll be on April 19th in Glendale, Arizona, where I scored the roll the clip goal. My header against Mexico didn't even need to jump.